Hello and good afternoon. My name is KarQ. Welcome to the OverwatchUniversity subreddit, where we take a look at the top upvoted questions or statements of the week and discuss. Here we go. All right, first one of the week with the question or discussion flair over here is that maybe you should switch. Not really a question, but a discussion opener. Here, let's see what we have. Gold tank player here. I'm so tired of being asked to switch by players doing worse than I am. I understand I should switch in situations where I'm being hard countered, but just because I'm on ball and you want to stand still versus Ryan doesn't mean I need to switch. Perhaps you should get on high ground or choose someone with mobility, LOL. Players need to understand that you can't affect anyone's play but your own. I'm not sure why so many people lack self-awareness. I agree, but if you're a true team player, you kind of play to your team's strengths. If you are doing well, but you are also able to play something that your team can complement with you a little bit better, then that can work as well. Listen, if you're in gold and you're like a ball player, for example, can you expect your gold teammates to know how to play with ball because they're very used to like a tank anchor sitting in the front, whether it's a shield tank or someone brawling up close. They're not very good at executing with very heavy dive, which is why traditionally a lot of Winstons, Divas, Dooms, and balls don't perform as well the lower you go, because the execution and timing is a lot more intricate and you have to learn how to play around that. Of course, you can just continue playing ball and the players will be forced to learn to adapt, which is fine. You're just not going to have a good time. Personally, you could just mute all chat and do your own thing as long as you're generating value. But you also need to understand that yes, you can't affect anyone's play but your own, but you can help bring players on your team up a bit if you are able to compromise, if that's within your capabilities. Like if you love ball, you're playing a video game, who am I to tell you not to play ball? For me personally, if I had a ball player, I'll just adapt to the ball because they're just going to play ball no matter what. And if they're doing fine, that's fine. And I have the hero pool to pick something that can synergize with it and play a bit more survivable, so I don't have to like worry about my sight lines in the front. But if your team isn't doing too hot, even though you're doing well, you could, theoretically keep playing and you might lose and you'll get blamed. Or if you were able to play something that it just so happened your 4 random teammates are able to play a bit better and Ryan is in your pool or Ramatra and that works better in this case, you could swap and maybe you'd win some more games as well. It goes both ways. But you're right. If you're on ball and it doesn't mean you have to switch. You have your hero pool as ball and maybe your teammate can only play Cassidy and can only play Moira and they can't play anything else just as well. So maybe they can't switch and they're hoping you will. And if you won't and they won't, then you're at a standstill and maybe you take the L, or you know what? Maybe you can still pull a victory because you can always snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, so they say. Someone I play with constantly refuses to use their ultimate. As the title says, someone I constantly play with refuses to use their ult. And I mean this literally. Me and his friend were both telling him to ult as he was our tank and he hadn't grabbed once. We were on the 3rd point and what did he say? My ult is useless here. And then proceeded to not ult the entire 3rd point. So he held grab against Orion for 10 minutes. He's also done this as Venture and I've nanoed him before 3 times just to try to get him to ult. And nope, he says my ult is useless here. He says this every time we ask him to ult and he doesn't even try to use it. I started to spiral and no longer play comp with him as it was already a wide match, gold to GM. He refuses, gold to GM, Jesus Christ. He refuses to listen to me and then goes on to complain about the Mercy who has died 14 times on their team. I don't know how to help. I've told him he won't rank up if he doesn't ult, which is only half of it as his game sense is questionable. I don't dislike playing with him except for when he refuses to ult. So far, I've only managed to get him to ult once by nanoing him with Juno ult. Okay, so my question is, how the hell do I help this? Okay, first of all, I assume if he's ranking up, he's the gold player, you're the GM. For anybody watching this, just so you know, a gold to GM ranked match is a 1% win and a 1% loss. It's basically quick play with extra steps. You need to win 25 games to make a meaningful 1 win. Like, it doesn't really swing the matchmaking that much. That's just something, like, even if you go 12 and 12, that's like 24 games, you won't move. Or like 15 and 10, which is a really good win record. 5%, it's actually nothing. Just so people don't go like, oh my God, matchmaking's rigged. That being said, if they're the gold player, which I assume they're not ulting, the first thing you could do is probably not play with him because your expectations of a gold player are a little too high. I know you're doing your best to encourage them to get them to use their ultimate more, but you just kind of, if you're the GM player, you're gonna have to teach him. You're trying to make him be a bit more proactive by nanoing him and telling him, but if telling him won't help you, I don't know what to say. Like, you have to explain to him and in hopes he understands. Waiting for like a perfect grab is not necessary. And it's better to use a grab than to not use it at all. If you held it for 10 minutes, you could have tell him you can cycle 3 extra ultimates if you just chucked it and then built 2 or 3 more in the span of that time. Number 2, remember, you don't always have to grab 4 or 5 people. They're looking for the game-winning team fight ultimate wiping grab that they see in the pro play. You only need to grab like 1 person. 2 people is already amazing. 1 person is even doable, because what are you doing with your ultimate? What are you trying to achieve? This is what you tell them. What are you trying to achieve? We're trying to win the team fight. We have to expend some resources like ultimates. If you solo grab someone like a random Sombra behind you, like, and you kill her, your team is at a 5v4, you're probably going to win the fight and make progress on the objective. That's good. That's how you play Overwatch. Solo grabbing is a little bit of a meme sometimes, but it's like genuinely good in a lot of cases. You have to tell them you have to be proactive. You have to use your stuff to win a team fight so you can make progress on the objective. That's the bare constituents of Overwatch. Your friend probably says it's useless here because he's tried using it and they didn't win a team fight and now he thinks he has to hold it. But encourage him with the opposite advice, where you have to continue to use your ultimate as often as you can so that you can learn when not to use it and when to use it. That's called min-maxing, optimizing how to like your economy and how to use your ultimate properly. But this person got a little too defensive and passive and they're like, well, it didn't work last time. Like, that's a learning moment where if you use your ultimate in this situation, you try not to use it in a similar situation in the future because you've learned. This person learned that it didn't work in some cases here and they think it's useless, but this is taking it like too far, where they think every scenario is a loss. Other than that, I don't know what to say. That's all the advice I got for you, man. Maybe somebody in the comments here can offer some better words of advice, because I'm not very good at articulating other than use your fucking ultimate and then the explanation I just gave. What am I supposed to do versus a Widowmaker as a support? Outside of playing a Frogger level Lucio, I just have no clue. The best success I've had is standing behind hard cover, never peeking, and just healing. Is there more that I could do? Should I be trying to take off angles even if I'm on my own? Or is playing back and healing the team better so they have a backline to fall to? For context, I play Ana, Bap, and Brig with some Burger King Lucio just for speeding in the team. Well, Brig, pretty much useless besides holding your shield up and getting an idea of where she is so that you can ping it for your team because you won't die with your shield up. Giving your team info, that's number 1. Baptiste, too much fall off damage at that distance, probably wouldn't peek, and I'd probably hide pretty much around cover and just look for healing. And maybe if she plays a little closer, if you hear her shoot, you can maybe jiggle up for a peek and get a quick little pressure shot on her, even if it only does like 5 to 10 damage, 15 damage at long distance, and you get 1 bullet off. Sometimes it's enough to make Widow be like, oh my god, someone looked at me. Oh, that's uncomfortable. Maybe I'll switch angles. The more you can make and pressure the Widowmaker, the better. And then for Ana, you do similar things to Bap, where you should generally hide, because if you're scoped in line of sight of the Widowmaker, you're an easy shot because you're not really moving too much because your movement speed is hindered, and the Widow can just headshot you immediately. Mostly when I play Ana, I will put myself where like a piece of cover is between me and the Widow. And if I hear the Widow shoot, then I can quickly peek out and maybe shoot her once or twice. Usually the Widow won't stand still for 3 straight shots for Ana. But remember, Widowmaker can only shoot 1 person at a time. So if you hear that pow trail shot, it is not aimed at you unless they're literally the best sniper in the world. Like if they're looking at someone else and you quickly peek, you should be able to quick scope and shoot her at least once and duck back into cover before she's able to literally reactively look at you, because she's probably staring down at somebody else moving and jumping around. That one single shot's gonna make her unscope and soften that threat of Widow against the rest of your team. And that's probably the best you can do with this specific hero pool. What is the thing that makes you most likely to endorse someone at the end of a match? Let me start this by saying, while I'm bronze, I'm level 5 endorsement. Yes, I do believe that makes me better than you / sarcasm. Okay, huge sarcasm. I'll admit that I probably belong in bronze. I mean, probably. I recognize tons of mistakes in my own play, and I know that until I'm good enough to change that 50-50, I'll stay where I need to be. Hey, we love that self-awareness, man. On top of that, just because I feel better about the endorsement rating doesn't mean it really matters. I think there's an endorsement requirement for hosting custom games now, but honestly, it's never been an issue for me because I like never do that. But it'll make me feel better even when I don't say anything on chat. People in my rank want to endorse me as a player. Maybe I'm not good enough to carry most of the time, but people still seem to think I do. Okay, I'm gonna be happy, but okay. What makes me endorse someone at the match? I'm gonna be honest, I don't. I forget to. I don't care to. I'm just being completely honest. When the system came out, I thought it was kind of cool, like 6 years ago. But literally after the first month, I don't even look at the endorsement page. I just press the endorsement button. I just spam click. If I do remember to do it, I'll click and move on with my life. And I can guarantee you that anybody, at least the people in the ELO that I play with, nobody looks at endorsement rating. Maybe if they're endorsement 1, it gives me a sign that they're probably muted or they've said something. If they don't, especially if they don't talk or listen to VC or in voice comms or anything, they're probably muted because they, said or did some shit. But other than that, nobody cares. Endorsement 3, 4, 5. Not to say you shouldn't feel good about it. Hey, whatever makes you happy, my friend. You're asking me what makes me endorse. I'll just click random stuff. I don't even look at. I don't even know what the 3 categories are. It's a good teammate, good sportsmanship, and I just click it for the 50 battle pass XP if I remember it. That's it. Okay, who pushes the cart and the robot? You've only played in season 8, 9, and 13. In Overwatch 2, played Overwatch 1, never comp. Currently plat 5, trying to place DPS, projected silver 2. I watch a lot of Overwatch YouTube. I'll watch Awkwardy saying if you're pushing cart, you're bad and afraid to be doing DPS, which raised the question for me. Okay, if we're all trying to damage, then who is supposed to push the objective? My thoughts would be it should be a support or DPS. My second question is, as an Zen or Echo, would it be my job to keep the objective moving? I tend to not always go and make sure we're actually making progress and hang back. Are my characters more beneficial in the team fights, or is it more situational and not an easy this class pushes objective answer? I mean, you got it here. It's more situational. Generally speaking, Echo, I would almost never push the cart unless you're the last one alive. You basically, people who push the cart are usually your long-range DPS or support heroes. That's option A. Option B, a very mobile hero while the rest of your team sets up. So like a tracer is a very good one in dive. But generally, most tanks do not really push the cart or objective unless it's in a very high traffic choke point. What do I mean by that? So a tank generally doesn't push it, especially during like the long lull periods where it's kind of going through, the push robot's going through like a long push phase where you're kind of waiting for the enemy team to re-engage because you just won the fight. As a tank, you should be up a lot further deeper into the enemy lines, not like, feeding 1v5, but enough to kind of scout and see where they're coming out, trying to stop them from getting to the spots they want to get into. You want to minimize that, poke them as they come in on a lot of tanks. Now, there will be some cases where it's a brawl tank like Rhine, for example, if the push robots underneath the bridge of Colosseo. Sometimes there's a good, it's good to push up on the stairs on the side there and be ready to fight them. But another time you could be the cart anchor because they're gonna have to drop that and contest you. So you let them come into you. So definitely not an easy answer. There's not a one size fits all, but those are your general, very, very general generic answers. I'm in Masters, but I have terrible aim and positioning. I'm in Masters and I have bad aim. I don't know how I managed to get myself in Masters, but I feel like my aim sucks and I can barely hit my shots. No matter what settings I change and what training maps, I feel like I'm starting to fall behind every time I look at my stats. I have the lowest, but I keep winning ranks. I feel like I should be in plat gold. Can someone help? Well, my friend, you might have imposter syndrome, where you don't think you're as good, but you are actually doing just fine. Aim is one small component of the many skills in Overwatch, and it also depends on the hero. Your aim can suck on Moira, but like, who cares? If you're winning, just ride it out, man. Next question. Am I throwing on Winston if I'm sitting behind the enemy team zapping the squishies until it's safe to dive? I feel like I'm not doing anything when I'm doing this, question mark. I'm just trying to get better at Winston, but what am I supposed to do when I'm playing against a team that just sits on the point together and are all watching me to make sure I don't dive? My teams don't have a tank to help them push points since I'm sitting up in high ground, spot zapping down on the enemy. Any pro Winstons can help because he's the only one at tank I find fun right now, Sigma 2, so I just want to play him. I'd say in 95% of the situations, it's probably not the correct play. There will be some very niche situations where it is the right play, where you're already jumped in and you ended up somehow in their back line after a couple of leaps because you killed somebody and you have no choice but to sit here while you wait for your bubble or your leap cooldown. So yeah, you can sit back there and zap till it's safe or you're ready to dive. But generally speaking, I don't think this is the right play in most cases, because if you do that and you're not drawing any threat or aggro, right? You're really far away. Like, what reason do the enemies have to come into you, right? Especially if you're really far away. If you can somehow make 3 or 4 people collapse onto you, then that could be okay because it gives your team space and room to kind of like move in and do something. What's Winston's biggest strength? It's getting into the fray of things, getting the AoE Tesla cannon zaps, bubbling and like bubble dancing and using that bubble to create some separation between like your your team and the enemy team so they can't shoot the Ana. That's Winston's strength. So you're kind of losing that big part of value on him. It's probably much better to kind of like stage and use natural cover as much as possible. You don't have to jump and commit and jump onto an enemy, but you can continue jumping to hold high ground, to like make sure they don't have it. And if they're all sitting on the point together and they're all watching me, I don't know, let's say Nambani first, easiest Winston example. If literally 5 people are sitting on the top of Nambani first, you could totally jump past them up on the high ground and wait. You literally make 3 or 4 people turn around. And if you do that, and that's pretty good because your team could probably walk in for a moment. And if they don't look at you for a second, then you can just drop onto them, not leap, just fall down, drop your bubble, because you already set yourself up on the high ground with your first leap. And then you'll have your leap again to like jump out when things get dicey. And you sit there, AoE zap until Tesla, until your primal rage, and then boom, boom, boom. Is Kiriko supposed to focus the Widowmaker? Hey, I'm a Kiriko main in silver. One of my friends told me it's my responsibility as a Kiriko player to focus the enemy Widow because I can out-snipe her, quote unquote, even if my team also has a Widow. I can't deny that I sometimes do out-snipe the Widows, but I don't see how that's my responsibility when it's a good Widow. Often it is a good Widow and I'm the one getting sniped instead. My aim's not the best per se, but I think it's at least decent at my rank. I try to prioritize keeping my team up and I don't play the most aggressive Kiriko. My playstyle against the Widow is to not peek unless I'm able to get close to her or shoot her some far away kunais. Otherwise, play to survive and keep my team up. I also change my playstyle depending on who my other support is. More healing if I'm with Zen, little more damage if I'm with Ana. Just a little confused on whether Widow is my priority, and if she is, how much I should be prioritizing her, and if you have any tips, that'd be greatly appreciated. I think your mindset is much better than what your team's is. Now, I would say your friend is probably mixing up capability versus priority. Sure, like you said, you are capable of doing it, but is it your priority in a lot of cases? No, but it can be, and that's up to you to recognize if your team doesn't have a threat that can go for it. I think there are much better options to kill Widowmaker, like a mobile tank, like Ball, Doom, Winston, Diva, who have the HP pools to survive a random snipe in the head and can probably... actually should 100% 1v1 and kill the Widowmaker. Your own DPS, Hanzo, Widowmaker, maybe a pocketed Ashe at medium range, a Tracer if she's able to close the gap, a Sombra if she's able to sneak in. Those are your better options, but Kiriko is certainly capable of, and the only time it's your priority is if you don't have those options are dead, or their Widow is getting a lot of value and you think it's better to eliminate that threat because the Widow will kill 3 versus trying to heal 1 person. That's a very extreme example. That's the assessment on the priority is solely based on your team and how good the Widow is. And it seems like you're pretty good at adjusting. You do more healing with Zen, little more damage with Ana. So I think you can pretty much assess if their Widow is 3 and 12 and losing every Widow duel against your team. I'd say it's pretty safe to let your Widow deal with the other Widow. They're pretty much gapping them. But if their Widow is popping off and no matter who you heal, like you can't heal a dead person who just gets sniped, maybe you wait for her to reveal her position, you see the trail shot, then you jiggle peek and you throw the back-to-back kunais and that kills her. That's the best tip. I guess another tip with Kiriko is instead of like sliding out to like one side and then chucking the double kunais, if you know she is looking at you, like that's an option if she's not looking at you where you hear the trail shooting in another direction. If you are going to peek Widow, what I sometimes do is I will tap the wall and wall bounce out. And what I mean by that is obviously Kiriko is a wall climb. So if I'm going to, peek out this way, I press space, which is jump, and then you get a little touch the wall and you jump off the wall again, and then you air strafe, and it gives you like a much weirder angle that a Widowmaker is not used to, because if she knows someone's there, she expects them to peek out normally, or like a very parabolic jump. But a wall climb and a little flare out is a lot more likely to generate a body shot or a complete miss from the Widow, and it's very easy for you to like hang in the air, keep your crosshair steady, and chuck 2 kunais in the same spot. Trust me. Other than that, what I said before is probably your best advice. All right, last question. Is Doomfist not a peel hero? Hi, I finished a game where I was Ana and my tank was Doom. My whole team got wiped out quickly, first 2 team fights by a Mercy pocketed Junkrat and a Diva flying into the backline while our Doom was off somewhere where the Kiriko and me couldn't heal him. He then typed in match chat 1v5, which I found very petty. I responded to him that he doesn't help his backline at all. Mind you, at this point, his whole team was backline. He clapped back and said that he's Doom, to which I said maybe you shouldn't be then. At the end of the match we lost, he called me a R-word Ana. He was telling me to help, it was me telling him to help his backline survive such a crazy ask. I feel like I played with Dooms who played with their team and got a lot done, but now I'm doubting myself. Maybe I was expecting the wrong thing and I should have switched myself. My question is, all in all, is Doom a tank that you can expect and would peel for his back line? I would say Doomfist value is better generated not peeling. He's certainly capable of peeling because he can obviously have this rocket punch stun and everything. Let's say Doom is standing there and he turns around for one person and he tries to punch forward. His ass is facing the enemy team and you don't have a frontal block to absorb any damage. Some Dooms can peel because the other person jumped your backline and is isolated, and it's faster to kill that one person before the enemy team can follow up for support. But that's a read you have to make as a Doom player on the fly. I don't have high expectations here because you guys are playing in a much different elo. So I would say it's better off that he does jump into the backline, but you're saying there's Mercy, Pocketed Junkrat, and D.Va flying into the backline, like you as Ana. So if Doom is off fighting a single Kiriko, you and Kiriko couldn't heal him, and that's fine. Good Dooms that jump the back should not be expecting you to heal him. That is no longer your job. He's out of your sight lines. What he should have been doing is at least drawing the attention of 2 people minimum. If he's not doing that, then he's not playing a very good Doomfist. All in all, is Doom a peel hero? Can peel, but not his strongest priority. I would generally expect him not to do that. You're basically left to fight the people that are jumping you. My question is, how is Junkrat closing the gap on you guys that hard? D.Va can close the gap for sure, but if you guys are kind of playing together and Doom is doing his job and pulling at least 2 or 3 people to look at him, then, you know, this just seems like a team that just wasn't really syncing very well with the Doom, and maybe a support swap on something like, you know, Lucio Kiri or Juno Kiri, you know, especially if you're getting jumped on the back as Ana. Your Kiri probably has a better survivability tool because she could TP away, but you as an Ana, if the D.Va holds a Matrix over you, you're probably cooked. You could swap, but also the Doom could have swapped too if he realized that they weren't syncing up with you. But that's, you can't really, if you are specifically looking to climb, I have no expectations of other people on the team swapping. That's the big takeaway point here. Anyways, that's all I have to say for now. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.